VersTEAv211.
Hello, hashtag VersTEAv family, and welcome. It's week 211. I'm Aaron Mack, and I'm here with my good friend Kevin, aka CVC Basic Complexity, and I will take it away with a short significance of the number 211. As I explained to people, I spent the first part of my childhood, well, the first 90% of my childhood or whatever. I grew up and I was born in New York City, right? And then we moved, I did that thing again. Then we moved to upstate New York, and where I lived in upstate New York was right off Main Highway 211, New York Route 211. So you know how we love our Maryland routes. I have to give a shout out to my New York Route 211. That's where I was. Thank you very much, people. Good old upstate New York. Um, I can say it. Middletown, Orange County. Okay. Okay. That's where I was then. So love everybody. Nothing but love. Anyway, Base Complexity, you've got the new song, my friend.
Okay, and just a minute, I just don't want this to time out. But my new song actually is by Lil Nas X from his his debut EP, I believe, album. Title Montero, and definitely was a single. It was to interesting to have another heterosexual rapper on a song with a homosexual rapper. And I'm not saying like all heterosexual males are like this, because you're not. But some are kind of homophobic. Like, we don't want you. And gay men in general actually have kind of high standards, maybe unrealistic, but it is what it is. But yeah, he had that song in from his album Montero in 2021, and his first time, at least knowingly to me, on a song with a heterosexual rapper was with who he definitely pays homage to, the rapper Nas. In the song, I'm trying to find the name of it. I can't find it right now. But he had a song with Nas in 2019 from his EP 7. So that wasn't a full album, but yeah, he had
Lil
that.
Nas X had a song with Nas.
Yeah.
Huh. Okay. Much props and respect to Nas.
Yes.
Nasir, I forgot his real name. Do you remember his real name?
Well, you had the first name, right? I think.
Yeah.
Is it, I think, Nasir Jones?
I don't know. I know he's like Dominican though, like a New York Dominican, but
Uh,
I don't remember. Sorry, but Nas is an exceptional lyricist as well, and I think it's very cool that he did a song with Lil Nas X. That's cool.
right.
Very cool.
And
Absolutely.
like I said, that just to me anyway comes across as just paying your homage.
As far as Lil Nas X's name,
Yeah,
huh.
paying homage to Nas.
Did he say that? And forgive my ignorance, but Lil Nas X said his name Lil Nas X comes from the Nas, from Nas the rapper.
That I honestly don't know.
Oh,
That assumption on my part.
gotcha. Yeah, I'm not sure if he said it was for something else though. But yeah, either way, it's amazing and wonderful that they teamed up for the song. What
Yeah.
song did they team up for?
Um, and because I don't want to say this wrong, but I want to say the song was called Panini.
Huh. That was what he did at the MTV VMAs. He did Benini there. Anyway,
Then that's from the EP.
right after Old Town Road, I think he did both. He went from
Yeah.
Old Town Road into Panini.
And they were both on the EP.
Cool. Yeah. He was like, I'm not a one hit wonder. I got more for y'all. And sure enough, years later, he still got more and more and more. Go on, Lil Nas X. Yes. Okay. So, my older song again. So, the way we're breaking it up now is 2 weeks, I'll get the number and the old song, followed, but in the following 2 weeks, Kevin will get the number and the older song. And I'll get the newer song, and we'll. It's gonna be even, y'all. It's gonna be even. It's gonna be fair. We just had to make some adjustments. There you go. So my older song is coming from Eric Robertson from his 1994 single called "The Moon," and I didn't know much about that song in '94, but I fell in love with it in like 2017 or whatever. And it's a fantastic song. It actually didn't have an album. It was, at least it was going to, it was the lead single from what was going to be his debut album. But I think the story goes that the record companies shelved the album, which record companies love to do. They love to do that for people, but they shelved the album or something. Anyway, but yeah, and that was his last release for quite a few years. And for me, that song makes me think about this dude that I dated. All right. Every song always makes me think about a man. Anyway, but this dude that I dated, and he he's the first boyfriend that I had that and I've spoken of him before because I've spoken of this before. But he's the first boyfriend that I had that I actually felt like I want to protect him in conjunction or juxtapose his the fact that I normally am like, I'm the one who wants to be protected by my man. I want a man to protect me. But with him, I was like, I want to protect him. Like he was He was like 5'4" or something. And it's not because I'm the kind of person who's like short people need to be protected, but yeah, just throw y'all to the wolves, right, Kevin? I'm kidding. I'm kidding. You are shorter though. No shade. But yeah, he was short and he was very small framed and he just seemed,
Mm.
he was very much a grown man, but just a small man. And I don't, I'm not going to go into things of his situation, but I will say that I felt the desire to be the protector with him. And I remember one time when I was at his house, just sitting on the couch with him, and he had his beautiful, tiny chocolate legs on me. Not tiny, but just he was thin. He was small frame. And he had his beautiful thin, hairy chocolate legs on me. Wrap your chocolate legs around me. Yes. Anyway, around on my big thick thighs, whatever, whatever. But yeah, I did like him. It's whatever though, because we ended because he suffice it to say we ended for reasons that were out of my control, I'll say. Well, you know what? I don't want to say that. Oh my gosh, I'm not gonna. How long? Yeah, I've said too much. Aaron, shut up. Anyway, oh right. So all of that I kind of take back. So just forget whatever I said. I stuck my foot kind of far in my mouth and I'm spitting it out. Okay, cool. Do you swallow or spit? I'm kidding. Oh my gosh, I'm being ridiculous. So, the topics for today, the titles of the topics for the day today are hashtag life diversity, hashtag very advanced, hashtag the L, hashtag self examine. All right, basic complexity, are you ready to get the show on the road, my friend?
Let's do it.
Hashtag life diversity at Jessica out of the closet. Hashtag VersTEAv211
My toddler goes to the playground with both of his mums, and one wears visible hearing aids. I can tell which children have been taught about diversity and which haven't. I see you, parents, who think, I thought I had more time, when their child points at my ears and asks what those are, or asks me, why do we flap our hands around? I swear, if you think it is appropriate to send your child to school without any knowledge of disability so they can ask intrusive questions to the bold little souls who walk in on day one having had the confidence-boosting pep talks with their hard-working parents who spent all summer preparing them because they would be the only child there with a visible difference just so your poor child accidentally put their foot in it because you couldn't be asked to sit them down with a book about how we are all different. Yes, children say uncomfortable things, but it is obvious when it comes from a place of, I have been completely sheltered from this part of society, and the question is, why? Studies show the earlier you expose children to diverse skin type, body type, family makeups, and religious or cultural markers, the more accepting they will be.
All right, and she is right. So
Mm-hmm.
let's get the timer. Pow. So my initial reaction is yes, like I said. And even though I am not yet a parent, a parent of a child, I am a parent. Anyway, gosh, puns, right? Up, it's a parent. Anyway, but yeah, even though I'm not yet a parent, I do agree with her and the importance of educating your children early that more people live in the world than just them and their family. There are different people in the world, period. And that's something worth teaching them because a lot of people just don't understand that. And even different people deserve respect. Now, it's important to teach the children. Now, I will say I had an experience this past Saturday with an Uber driver. Now, and I tell this story in relation to teaching people about diversity and the importance of even adults understanding that there are different people in the world. And this Uber driver that I had, after I so this past weekend was a late weekend for me, right? And I I went to an event hosted by none other than the Just Jare of Everything and Then Some with the Lucky Lav. Shout out to them and him. Great event, great hosting, loved it. And I decided to stay with my friend a little bit later at the venue because it was a gay venue and just eat. It was a restaurant, right? And I did it. Sorry. And just eat and chat. And he invited a friend, and we all three just sat and ate and enjoyed ourselves. And my Uber ride home, I told the Uber driver about where I was and what happened, and she was like, "Oh, are you LGBT?" And I was like, "Yeah." And she's like, "But what about your soul? Oh my gosh, you don't care about your soul?" And I will save the rest of this fun, exciting thing for my 1 minute. Basic complexity, what's yours?
Hey, that just that alone is still on so many different levels. All right, so after hearing that, I honestly think that some parents need to attend a class about parenting because some of them just don't get it. Um, uh, and at the moment, keyword at the moment, I do not have any kids. Once again, yes, but it will be pretty soon. Um, and I am fully aware that I will need to educate them on ways or on, but I need to educate them about diversity and a few different levels. That's what I've.
So after she broke into her, "What about your soul?" I explained to her that I have read the Bible from cover to cover multiple times. And I have researched this particular topic because it hits so close to home for me. And I politely said to her that I don't really engage people too much in this discussion because I realized early in my study and learning about this and how people have their perspective and it's not necessarily biblical, but people don't study the Bible, but that's another story. And it's, oh man, I told her I wouldn't want to engage in it because, oh, please let me take a couple of extra seconds and say this. She
Go
asked me about the story of Sodom and Gomorrah.
ahead.
And I said, you know, for example, the story of Sodom and Gomorrah, people use that against homosexuality because they're like, well, you know, all of the men in the town wanted to have sex with those male angels. And it's like, well, the angels must have been so buff that all of the men in the town wanted to have sex with those angels for the sake of pleasing their sexual appetite. But everywhere else in the Bible that says the men of the town, we are comfortable saying, well, it's because back in the day when the Bible was written, it was a very, even more so, male dominated society. So we say all the men did this because that's how it's written in the Bible. But actually, that's just their way of saying all the people did it. And we do that for every single verse in the Bible except the story about Sodom and Gomorrah. With Sodom and Gomorrah, we're like, well, the Bible said men did it, so it must be just the men. So it must mean that they're homosexual. And the reason God destroyed them is because of their homosexuality. Also, I said to her that everywhere in the Bible that references the story of Sodom and Gomorrah, they say the sin of Sodom and Gomorrah. They never mention any kind of homosexuality as the issue. They say the sin of Sodom and Gomorrah was that they were unkind, unfriendly, unwelcoming people. Build that wall, damn it, on Texas, right? Unwelcoming people. Do it with pride. And that's just what it is. And that's why I said to her, I don't engage people too much because I realize people believe whatever they believe.
Well,
And
yeah.
they have a right to do that in the context of the video where the woman is like, teach your kids about diversity. That is important.
Yeah.
And people will believe what they believe. So teach your kids not only about diversity, but also just there are some people who might disagree with you. That's okay.
Yeah.
That's okay. There are some people who might not understand you. That's okay. Don't disrespect them. Don't bother them. Because as she was saying, her wife has hearing aids. And she's like, yeah, people will ask us all these crazy questions about why are we talking and flopping our hands around all crazy sign language. So just understand, kid, there are things in the world that you don't understand, but be respectful always. Everybody deserves respect. Period. Thank you for letting me take that extra time for that. And now your 1 minute.
Well,
Oh my gosh, I didn't say my one sentence. So
yeah.
people might not change with the ebb and flow of life. True love for everyone in their reality is important. Acceptance, affirmation of the reality of others. Basic complexity,
All right. I guess
one and one.
one sentence.
Yep,
So, um,
one square.
yeah, we'll go with that. Um, Parents and or guardians know every situation is different. Um, are the first and typically primary um teachers to children of society. And that's what I
All right. Are we ready for the next one?
Mm.
B.
Well,
Coming right up.
Hashtag VeryAdvanced at DJ Dark Kent. Hashtag VersTEAv211
All right, so I normally don't post stuff like this, but it happened to me, so I figured I'd give y'all a heads up and let y'all know what's going on. Right now, America is going through what's called Scamageddon or the Scam Apocalypse, where basically text messages are being sent out to your phone with links that if you click them, will add malware to your device, which would allow scammers to have complete and total access to your information, which includes your photo library and all your passwords. And apparently they're sending out like 350 million texts a day. Don't quote me on that number, but yeah, it's pretty wild. And like I said, I wasn't gonna say anything until I got this text message. And that's when I was like, oh, it's real out here. And then I went and did some digging on some back channels and some threads, and I learned that scammers are also sending text messages to try to get you on the phone so that they can record your voice and use AI to create a voice model that sounds just like you. Because then they will call your family and ask for money using the voice of this AI. They'll make up a story saying that you're in trouble and you need the money fast, whatever. Basically, I read a story about this happening to a gentleman whose grandmother actually went to the bank to take out the money, but fortunately his dad called him to verify first. So yeah, y'all be safe out here. Don't tap on no links from somebody that you don't know, because there's a ton of people out here trying to take your bag. So don't get hit with the BS. Be great. I'm out.
mm.
All right. Base complexity.
Yeah, just noticed that. Just from jump, I'm actually glad he posted that because although I was fairly knowledgeable about most most of it, I did learn something new. And I will say this personally, my parents are far from stupid. And they'll even approach me if something doesn't seem right. Like they'll ask me, did you say this or do that? And I'm like, no. So yeah. And that's what I
All right. And I will say yes, AI, intelligence, is kind of scary in the wrong hands. And that situation is a personification of what makes it scary. Because in the wrong hands, and there are many wrong hands out there in the world, that's bad. Now, I will say, on the good side of AI, from a musical standpoint, I think it was so cool. On YouTube, they have an AI version of Mariah Carey singing Shaka Khan's I'm Every Woman. And I was like, oh my God, because it sounds like Mariah Carey. Like it sounds like little pieces of notes that I've heard her hit before, like all strung together. And I'm like, yes, Mariah. And
have.
like part of the bridge or whatever, like she was just hollering on that AI song. And I was like, yes, Mariah, yes. Like I was screaming with her. Anyway, but yes, I don't like that. I feel I don't want the information of that horrible stuff to get out and like spread like, oh, so that's what you can do. Okay, well, that's how you do it. I'll use AI to do that. But I like to believe, and I do believe, that the hashtag VersTEAv audience are good and good, just good people and not scammers.
Yeah.
So yes, we don't have to worry about that. Don't do that. Protect yourself. Web safety is important, and I still really value this training that I had at work, talking about not clicking links from people. And it is important to pay attention to the link that's in there and the domain of the link. Because
Mm-hmm.
if it's something like the link that they send you is google.com / blah, 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 whatever, but it's spelled GOOGLI or GOOGIE.com. Like just a slight difference, that's how you know it's a scam.
Right.
And how you know they're going to redirect you somewhere bad. And pay attention to that. As far as scammers on text messages, I love playing games with the scammers who text message me. I play all sorts of games. And I'll even save it for my 1 minute. Basic complexity.
Um, then yeah, just to sum everything up, and as I stated before, in all honesty, my parents, both of them, would not fall for that at all because people have tried to scam them before. That don't work. And the fact that my dad is, well, now a retired police officer, he ain't stupid. And that's what I have.
Yes, Mr. Kevin. I know that's right. And your mom works, and I'm talking like that unnecessarily, but your mom works in the legal field. So they would have their hands full. Okay, very much. Anyway, you're so PG County, but whatever. My 1 minute, I will say yes. So I like playing games with the tech. Like if a text message comes in and it's like, "Hi, how are you doing?" and they don't say who they're messaging and anything like that, I'll be like, this is one of those things trying to scam me. So I will play all sorts of ridiculous. I have a beautiful mind and a very imaginative mind, and I will like test out like scripts and stuff with the people. Just play it out, see how they respond. All sorts of ridiculous scenarios. Anyway, but also I wanted to say how he mentioned malware. Yeah, malware is a real thing, and in particularly in my 20s, due to my large porn consumption, I got so much malware and scareware on my old computers. And I would be afraid to take them in for servicing because I'd be like, oh, well, they're going to see all my porn sites. So I would just be like, well, it's time to buy, time to buy a new computer. Anyway, time to buy a different used computer. Anyway, but yeah. All right. So I'll have to skip that because I said if I run out of time, I'll skip it. So I'll skip it because I ran out of time. My one sentence is yes, you should question the links, even from numbers that you know. Pay close attention to the spelling of those domains. And Android now has call screening, which is super cool, and scammers do not like it. So I just press that screen call button, and it's like, hey, sorry, the number, or hi, the number you are calling is using Google Voice Screening. Can you say a little bit about who you are to the message? And they'll instantly hang up. So it's like, yes, Google call screening. Okay, yes. Anyway, basic complexity. Oh yeah. Ready for the next one?
Yeah.
All right, you're up first again, my friend.
All right.
And see.
Hashtag TheL at Tabitha Speaks Politics. Hashtag VersTEAv211 Text. Disney has canceled nearly $1 billion office complex that was scheduled for construction in Orlando that would have brought more than 2,000 jobs to the region with $120,000 as the average salary. Ron DeSantis puts the L in Florida.
I know that's right. Basic complexity. Sorry.
All right. It's just funny to me how the Florida governor tries to outsmart Disney, and you can't do that because that is a smart company. Um, I well, after reading this, the Florida state governor keeps pushing the state further and further um, down the meat grinder, basically. Um, I knew early on or early in his attacking Disney was not going to end well for him. That's what I.
All right. No. My initial reaction when they said put the L in Florida, I was like the L in FLORIDA. Oh, okay, right. That's it. And then I chuckled. But yes, I initially was thinking that when I read another article on this situation, I was like, oh, so Disney kind of just pulled out for business reasons. They didn't have an agreement on the thing. It's not because Disney is so pro gay. It's just because they had a disagreement on something. But I read a little farther in the article, and they did explain that no, part of why Disney was upset with Florida is from things like their Don't Say Gay bill and stuff like that. And I realized it doesn't, that's actually my one sentence. Florida sort of hit the negative for me with the story that I heard years ago about the lesbian couple who was civilly unionized. The lesbian couple who had a civil union before we were able to get married had a civil union, and they had their child, and they went down to Florida for vacation. And one of the mothers hit her head or something on the vacation and had a brain aneurysm and had to go to the ICU. And the other mother with the child, they were begging the Florida hospital, please let me in to see my partner. And they were like, no, only married spouses are allowed to see their spouse in the intensive care unit. And she's like, our kid is right here. We're a civil union. Please let me in and see my wife. And they were like, that's not your wife. No, I'm sorry, ma'am. And the other partner, the partner, died in the ICU alone. So that made me say, okay, civil unions are not the same. And people in Florida, and you know what, I'm not going to make it a people in Florida thing, but people who want to be against a thing can be against a thing in a very detrimental way, and that's not good. Civil unions do not equal marriage. So, fortunately, we are able to get married now. People, uh, sigh. That was just an awful situation. A
Yeah.
mother and their kid, and just being denied. Basic complexity, you're one and
Okay. Oh, just my comment is really short and straight to the point. Um, and more or less, it's just to choose your battles wisely because Florida ain't gonna win this one.
mm,
That's it.
okay. My one squared. Again, I'm gonna pound home that point. That really sold me off Florida. I know people up here, honestly, in Cleveland, seem to love Florida as the next destination. And I have family in Florida. I am not a fan of Florida. I am not. And
Yeah.
particularly that situation with the lesbian couple and not being allowed to see her wife in the intensive care unit, and her wife had to die alone in intensive care. Anyway, breathe. That still gets me upset. And honestly, that was the story that really started to change my perspective on gay marriage. It took me a long time to accept the idea of me being gay married, but that really changed, like, helped me reach the decision that, people should be allowed to be married. Even if I don't want gay marriage for myself, even if I didn't want it for myself, people should be allowed to get it. Anyway, my one sentence is thinking about people hating on Disney's gay stuff because Disney will have some gay characters on their shows. Florida is not in line with Disney's values, but I understand the balance to the extent that yes, Disney and Florida is a red state. And it's like, oh, it's more conservative and ignorant bull crap like that situation happened in Florida. But Disney also has a large theme park in California, which
Mm-hmm.
is a blue state for whatever that's worth. Like one of my exes was like, anyway, I don't even need to say that. But yeah, so it's like, I guess there's a balance. Like, if you're a person who wants to go to Disney, but you don't want to go to a blue state, you can go to Florida. If you're a person who wants to go to Disney and you don't want to go to a red state, you can go to California. Whatever, at the end of the day, it all comes down to how much money you have and where you live, but it is what it is. And I guess that's fine. I guess I don't know, but that's my guess. Anyway, base complexity. Are you ready for the next one? The next topic, letter D, and I'll go first.
Letter D is you.
And I'll go first.
hashtag SelfExamine, at I am Coach Leon, hashtag VersTEAv211
Researchers at Yale showed teachers this video clip of 4 preschool students. Their instructions: look for misbehavior and click when you see it. The study was kind of deceptive. None of the kids in the video actually misbehaved. The researchers were using eye tracking software. What they actually wanted to study was who the teachers were watching. Both Black and white teachers spent significantly more time watching the Black boy in the video. This study showed that even preschool teachers can treat kids differently based on their race without even realizing it.
Extended sigh. That is an eye-opening story for me. And I will say my initial reaction is the same or connects with my connection in that, yes, I get it now. I remember there was a time when I was in elementary school in upstate New York, and I was the only black kid, right, in my whole class, one of the few in the whole school. And one day we had a substitute teacher, and the substitute teacher, like, as kids do, for whatever reason, we were all kind of just being wild. And normally I do not participate too much in wild antics by any means, but I was just being a kid and we were all being wild and stupid and all doing the very same thing. But the substitute teacher singled me out and put me out of the class. The only black kid, she singled me out, even though we were all doing the same thing. And she put me out of the class. And I remember I was like, why are you putting me out? What why? You're being racist. We're all here doing the same thing. And she's like, I don't care. Get out. And it's like, okay, okay. And I didn't get it then, but particularly watching this video, I'm like, that's what was going on. Like,
Yeah.
okay, okay, I got you now. But yeah, it was sigh. They kicked out the one black kid. I we were all acting up with the substitute teacher. That's an unfortunate thing, but she had to single me out, right? Okay. Basic complexity.
Okay. Un- Unfortunately, subtle, low-key racism strikes yet again. Now, I'm not speaking about a specific person. Um, Overall, as a country, we still got a very long way to go to improve race relations. That's what I have.
All right. And I agree with you. We've got some work to do, just like
Yes.
the song by Vanessa Williams, originally by the Isley Brothers. Got work to do. We do. And we should, I'm going to go into my one sentence. We live in a beautifully diverse country. Every professional, especially if you work with different people, maybe take a class or two on fairly being with different people, people from different backgrounds. Basic complexity.
Um, yeah, just this was a very interesting and enlightening experiment. That's just the way I see it.
And unfortunately, it's very real how it comes down to Miss Jane Elliott's blue-eyed, brown-eyed test from the
Yes,
60s. You know, yes, you know what I'm talking about.
yes,
But
I
yeah,
do.
it's just anyway. What I had to say is that. So yeah, cool. All right. So we are at the closing of the first part of the show before we go into our other part, our timeless TV. But we're going to close out. My name is Aaron Mack. You can find me, Aaron Mack, at VersTEAv211 AARONMCK at VersTEAv.com. And you can find hashtag VersTV all over social media. Just search hashtag VersTEAv.com. Remember Q.com, and that was a thing, and they tried to make it a thing, and I love and respect everybody creative who tries to do something, and however it turns out. But in the days before Google was just the accepted giant of search engines, P and Q tried to be a thing. They were like, yeah, just type P, your question, and Q, and that will come up with your answer. Anyway, basic complexity, where can we find you, my friend?
Okay, and wow, I definitely should have been ready for this, but um, I well definitely. My name is Kevin, aka Basic Complexity. Yeah, it was a name I just came up with a while ago. Um, so my email is basiccomplexity at VersTEAv.com, and that's BASICCOMPLEXITY, and that's at VersTEAv.com. VersTEAv.com. Um, on Instagram, I can be definitely found at Basic Complexity. Um, and as I often say, just take those two separate words. I'm hoping everybody knows how to spell basic and complexity. Push them together, just one word. And that's my Instagram name. Lastly, on TikTok, because as annoying as it was, someone already took basic complexity. So I had to make minor adjustments. And on TikTok, it's my basic complexity.